All right, well, we'll get started here. Welcome everybody to our greet. We're going to, I'll start off with a couple quick introductions here, and then we can get started with our presentations, and then we'll wrap up with questions, or if anyone has any questions for anything here. So I'll start off. I'm Sean. I'm the program coordinator for the ACE program, also a Duke alum and an ACE alum. Myself, I was on the swim team and graduated in 2019. So back here working at ACE, kind of came full circle here, and excited to be here. So I'll let Emily go, and then we can do a few more introductions and then get started.
Thanks, Sean. Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Emily Durham. I'm the director of the ACE program and have been with the program since the very beginning. So we're going into our 7th year, and thrilled to have everyone here, and both our ACE alums and our community partner providers on here today to share a little bit more about what we're offering for this summer. So Emily, do you want to go next, introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi everyone, my name is Emily. I'm currently a senior at Stanford on the softball team. I did ACE in Peru in 2019, and I loved every second of it. That's why I'm still here today. I've been an ambassador, I think this is my 3rd year now, and just really have loved like staying involved with the program and kind of seeing all the things that ACE has done, even despite the pandemic. The virtual options that we've had are just really great. So if you have any questions or kind of want to hear about anything, just let me know.
And then Seth, Nicole, and Krista, if you'd like to introduce yourselves quickly, and then we'll get started.
I'll go first. Hi, I'm them. Hi, my name's Krista, and I work for Amigos de las Americas. I have a pretty passionate and powerful job where I get to stand and present our programs to folks, and then support families and young people who are interested in joining. I did Amigos way back in the day. I did it for 4 summers in high school and college. I was actually a cross-country runner in high school and college too. And actually I was in Ecuador, which was wonderful for my fitness because I did a lot of work in high altitudes, which we'll speak about a little bit later. And then I'm also a mom currently of 2 high school boys who've done our program. So I'm really deeply involved in the program piece, and I'm particularly passionate about what Amigos has built in Colorado and excited to share it with y'all.
I can jump on, I guess. So I'm Seth. I coordinate the Vietnam program called Coach for College, and I'm a Duke alum like Sean, and have been involved in this program for several summers now. I help coordinate a lot of the logistics. Like any of these programs are a lot of moving parts to make it happen in the summer. But for sure, the highlight is the summer itself when I get to meet you guys, get to know you, watch you learn, grow, become friends. So I'm looking forward to it again this year.
Hi everyone, my name is Nicole. I am the Director for Institutional Relations at GVI. I've been working with ACE since I started here, and I think Emily was actually one of the first teams that I interviewed for the ACE program in Peru, and we've been working quite closely with ACE. Yeah, we have an amazing partnership with ACE, and we absolutely love working with them. And this is our 3rd virtual program that we're running, which I can't actually believe. Yeah, but we're very excited to kind of be back and kind of continue offering our programs for 2022.
And Elena, I don't know if you just wanted to share your sport and what year you are, and yeah, why are you interested in ACE?
Yeah, sure. I'm a sophomore on the field hockey team. I was interested in doing ACE because I'm interested in sustainability, and there were a few fields that kind of seemed really involved with that, specifically ACE in Colorado and Africa. So I was just sort of looking to hear more about that, especially because the Colorado one in person, like I just like to hear sort of what our experience would be like, because that time frame works really well with what my summer schedule has to be. So yeah, it just seems like a really cool opportunity.
Awesome. Glad you could join us today. Well, yeah, we can get started then with our first presenter. That we'll go with start with Nicole. I will make you're now able.
Cool. Thanks, Sean. So I know I've only got like 8 to 10 minutes, but I also have 3 countries to talk through. So I'm going to, because it's a little bit quieter, I'm going to try and keep it as short as possible, but also, so I'm kind of talking through 3 locations at the moment. So let me share my screen. I always get nervous for this part because I'm always so scared something's going to go wrong. Okay. So ACE in Place, this is our, as I said before, this is our 3rd virtual program that we're running with ACE. We ran a virtual prototype previously, and last year we had a really successful 3 virtual programs as well across 3 different locations. And I'm really excited to be back here. And most of our partners we're working with again for this year, and they're super excited to be back. And I've got some amazing updates for the ACE in Place Thailand program as well. So our first location that I'm going to talk through, we've got a couple of locations. GVI works, we have hubs all over the world, which allows us to kind of create these programs in different locations, but we're just going to be for ACE in Place 2022, we're just focusing on 3, which is South Africa, Thailand, and I think what we've all been kind of, one of the big things that came out of ACE in Place last year was just the ability to still have an incredible impact virtually, but also develop these soft skills, intercultural competencies, and gain these incredible experiences and still make these relationships, even though they are virtual. And of course, most importantly, it's not quite the same as in person, but you can still meaningfully support our community partners. And I know Seth will also kind of chat about just how just the impact you can still make virtually and how the programs are, how you can contribute to the work that they're doing on the ground. So the first location I'm going to talk about is ACE in Place South Africa. I am biased, I am South African, I live in Cape Town, and I think across all of our programs, we're all passionate about sharing these program locations with you. We've got 2 incredible partners in South Africa. The first one is SA Harvest. They were our partner last year. They are an incredible organization making a real change on just a massive challenge, which is hunger in South Africa. South Africa is one of the most unequal countries in the world, and we over half of our population effectively lives in poverty. And their mission is to end hunger. Their mission is to end hunger in South Africa. And they do this by taking a very kind of systematic approach. So they address the systematic causes of hunger, leveraging technology, and then also tackling the immediate food security crisis through rescuing nutritious food and delivering it to where it's needed most. So if you want to work with an organization that are dealing with a real, like just a massive challenge, but in a very kind of holistic way, they're a great organization to work with. The project last year, the brief was to look at nutritional problems faced in rural South Africa and how to educate South Africans on the value of nutritious meals in a fun and engaging way. And we really had a really great way. It was just a great opportunity to kind of learn about some of the challenges faced in South Africa. Next, for this year, we're looking to, one of the briefs that you could work on is researching and writing proposals for the upcoming UN Climate Change Conference in 2022. So there's a lot of scope to kind of work with SA Harvest and the impact that they're having. Second organization is Ocean Pledge. So this is just another organization, if you are interested in how you can turn awareness into action. Dione Lalou, she is the founder of Ocean Pledge. She is just a ball of energy and passion. And she has over 20 years of experience in conducting consumer research, but she was working with massive multinational organizations to get consumers to buy more. And this didn't sit right with her. And so she actually founded Ocean Pledge to use her expertise and her experience to reduce plastic waste in South Africa and consumption. And so if you want to learn from an inspiring person and also potentially want to start your own impact organization in the future, this is a great way to get started. The cultural immersion activities, because it is virtual, it allows us to just do a whole lot more activities, get a more rounded kind of experience. So we do have a cooking class. There's Fairuza. She is a Cape Malay, and she talks about the culture and the history of Cape Malay in South Africa. And so we go through this journey with her as we cook. I still make the curries today. It is a delicious class, but also you learn so much about the culture. Minenhle, she is the niece of the Dlamini clan of one of the chiefs of the Dlamini clan in South Africa. And so she talks about Zulu culture and the traditions that they follow, and kind of like being a modern South African, but still being tied to those traditional roots. And then Craig Makosi, he talks about isiXhosa culture. So he is a white guy, but he was actually a Xhosa, which is a Sangoma trainee. And he talks about his experience learning about a different culture through language. So it's a very, it's a super interesting kind of conversation that we have with him. But he also did a TEDx Cape Town speech. So you can kind of also learn more about the importance of language in learning about culture. And then these are some more kind of some of the cultural immersion activities that we do. We get to experience a day in the life of a conservationist. So Zoe Biggs is our program manager in Karongwe, and it's a really great opportunity to hear about conservation issues in South Africa on a first-hand basis. Okay, the second location that we also offer is Ace in Place Peru. This is also very much a conservation focused program. Our partner is CDS, so that's the Center for Capacity Building and Conservation through Sustainable Development. They are based in the Oxapampa area, which is the Amazon rainforest in Peru. They actually work in an area of the Peruvian Amazon forest, which is cloud rainforest. They do very unique conservation research, but they also spend a lot of their time working with local community partners to teach them about the importance of conservation. Also, if you want to practice your Spanish, there'll be a big Spanish component with them. Funnily enough, the two founders of CDS are not Peruvian. I think the one is Ecuadorian, but they came here because of just this unique location and the ability to kind of do meaningful research and valuable research on rainforests. Cultural immersion. So our local contact person for Peru will be Ricardo. He was our country contact last year. He is a trained chef and absolutely passionate about all things Peru, including food and culture. I just really can't wait to share it with you. We will also do a virtual experience of Machu Picchu and some of the main cities in Peru, so that you can kind of learn about the Spanish influence and learn about just the history behind Machu Picchu and actually go there virtually, so that if you do ever get an opportunity to travel to Peru, you'll have quite a good understanding of the history, but also some of what is so unique about Machu Picchu. That little image in the center, which is the nuts, we also included someone who came to speak to us about the Quechua language, which is quite unique in Peru. It is an ancient language that is recently becoming more popular. Apologies for the dog barking in the background. Prior to writing in Peru, before writing, they actually used knots to communicate. So this is a form of communication in early Incan culture, which is quite fascinating and not something that I actually knew about. So we learned about the history, the ancient history of Quechua in Peru. So some of the more indigenous cultures from Peru. Again, we try and do bring in quite a broad range of cultural immersion activities so you can learn about the various cultures. This was definitely one of the highlights of the Peruvian program, and we were actually able to join a live pre-Incan shamanic ritual, which was high in the. Ricardo actually traveled to these huts high in the Andean mountains, where they offered thanks to Quechua Mama, which means Mother Earth. And they actually blessed the mountains in Colorado, and where one of the participants were from, and they blessed the mountains in Table Mountain in South Africa. So this was just an incredibly unique opportunity to join this virtually. I don't think anyone has ever been so engrossed in a virtual session as we were for this one. Okay, and then our final location is Asian Place, Thailand. So last year, the team worked on the Stop Finning EU campaign, which comes to an end at the end of this month. And through the work of everyone involved, we actually reached enough signatures to get the petition to go into EU Parliament. And this is hot off the press as of like 2 days ago, which is super exciting. Interestingly enough, Europe is one of the biggest, they're very involved. There's just billions of dollars and euros of money in shark finning that actually goes through EU. So it's really important that we do get a ban on shark finning, on the sale and movement of shark fins in Europe. And so this is the campaign that the team worked on last year, and it has, we've now gotten to the next step. So it's now going to go in front of the European Parliament, which is super exciting. And this was all done. One of the main, our partner in Thailand is Shark Guardian, and this is one of their campaigns. And so our campaign for this year is to target airlines and FedEx to go fin free. So it's these campaigns can have just such enormous impact. And their Shark Guardian are also just a really amazing partner. In terms of the cultural immersion activities that we do include, that were included last year, they're always a cooking class, because there's no better way to kind of learn about a culture than through cooking. We worked with Courageous Kitchen. He's an American guy who traveled to Thailand and kind of just loved it so much and started his own cooking organization. But they are dedicated to inspiring marginalized youth through the power of food. So they also provide, they assist communities in Bangkok, providing them with food, because not everyone actually has access to food. But they also help refugee youth, training them in nutrition and food safety, and help with skills building to aid them in finding future employment. So we get to cook, and also you get to help communities in Thailand and in Bangkok. Thailand is also, if you think about it, you think of one culture, but actually North Thailand and South Thailand are just incredibly different. There are so many different cultural groups, indigenous cultural groups within Thailand. So we'll learn about the different cultural groups within there, Burmese refugees that are living in Thailand at the moment, and also stateless people living in Thailand, which I didn't know that there was such a thing as a stateless person. But there's actually Thailand has a massive issue with stateless people, because who are not recognized by the Thai state. So we learn about kind of some of these challenges that are faced in Thailand at the moment that you don't necessarily associate with the country. However, we also learn just about all the amazing, incredible festivals happening in Thailand, like Songkran, the water festival, all these other festivals as well. Of course, if you go to Thailand, one of the activities to do there is Thai boxing. You're all athletes. And so we do a virtual Thai boxing class, which is always good fun and a great way to kind of not be sitting down in front of a laptop. And then of course, we'll also do a masterclass by Dione where she talks about her program. So because she's working in marine conservation, but from a very different perspective, it just kind of gives a nice different insight to the work that you're doing with Shark Guardian. Okay, so those are the 3 locations. And then just quickly, our draft schedule, we essentially, the program is 2 hours of scheduled meetings every day. So it would be, welcome presentation, location presentation, community partner meetings. We try and keep it quite balanced in terms of work and something cultural. And then there's also 2 hours of project works that you can do at your own time. And we kind of, those times are set already so that it's quite easy for you to know how to fit it around your schedule. And that's essentially how it will work for 2 weeks. And then at the end, we've got a final project presentation, which is it's amazing how quickly those 3 weeks go by. I know, I'm sure everyone can attest to that, but that final project presentation, tears, it's just a really great way to look back over what we've achieved over the past 3 weeks.
Amazing. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you for that presentation. And before we move on to Seth, who's going to talk about Coach for College, I know Emily has to jump off in pretty soon, so I just wanted to give her time to share before she has to go. So yeah, Emily, I know your ACE program was a little while ago now, but you've been involved and know a lot about our virtual programs. And yeah, I'd love to, if you could just share a bit kind of your experience with ACE so far, and then your experience with ACE virtual programs. I know you participated in the prototype, but I know you've also had a lot of teammates who have participated in our virtual program. So yeah, if you'd like to talk a bit about that.
Yeah, definitely. So back when I did ACE in Peru, obviously everything was in person. And I just really loved, I think the thing that really sticks with me is just that cultural immersion piece that Nicole was kind of talking about. So, you know, like getting to work with the local community, getting to cook the food, getting to do all that. But then when everything kind of went virtual, I also did one of the like South African prototypes. So I did like a 2-week, I think, virtual program. We did the cooking class online. We worked with Ocean Pledge, like Nicole was just talking about. And I found that I was like pleasantly surprised with how involved I felt with the community. I just felt like I was like making a difference in South Africa. And I felt like I was kind of working with a program that had a really great agenda and really great things that they were trying to do. And even like being on Zoom, it just felt like I could like really kind of connect with that community. And then I've also had, I think, 5 or 6 teammates that have probably done the virtual programs over the last 2 years, and all of them have loved it. I haven't heard one bad thing about it being virtual. They've all just, like I said, really engaged with that community. I know they all still, you know, talk with their friends at Duke. One of them did the Vietnam program and she loved it. She still kind of stays in touch with the teachers, I think. And, you know, she loved like making the lesson plans and working with the students there and doing all that. So I really have nothing bad to say. ACE was a great experience for me, both in person and virtually. And yeah, if anyone has any questions ever, just feel free to email me, whether it's in person, virtual, and yeah.
Definitely. And just one other question is, what would you, based off your experience working virtually with ACE, and then also what you've heard from your teammates, what would you say to any student athletes from Duke or Stanford who might be hesitant about engaging in a virtual program?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just apply. I think apply, go to the ACE website, try to learn as much as you can about the different programs and kind of like what each program offers. And I think, you know, when I did it, it was right after my freshman year. So I was a little bit nervous, a little bit hesitant to kind of just throw myself into that culture and experience it myself. But from what I can say with my experiences, and, you know, when I had older teammates to talk to about it, every single person has loved every second of it. And so I think just kind of throw yourself into it. And know that, you know, it's a few weeks of learning about something you may not know much about. But when you come out of it, you know, you're going to know a lot more, and you might still be around ACE 3 years later, like I am.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Cool. Well, very much appreciate that, Emily. We will definitely be in touch, and also we can share your information with our applicants here. So
Awesome.
Thanks again for jumping on.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Have a good rest of your day.
Thanks.
And I think with that, we will transition over to Seth from Coach for College. He will share a bit about the Vietnam program here.
All right. Okay. All right. Okay. That's good. Okay. Hi, everyone. So yeah, as I mentioned, I'm a Duke alum and have been involved in this program for several summers, and feel really fortunate to be part of it. It's really fun, meaningful. Not everyone gets to do a job that you see makes a difference and that motivates you like this. Coach for College was actually started by Duke student athletes several years ago, back in 2008, before my time. It's since expanded to other US schools, but we have a pretty good track record in the community there. And what we're all about is education. We run summer camps in rural areas of Vietnam, like you see in this picture. This is right behind one of the schools. So people taking part, it's American student athletes joining with Vietnamese university students and teaching together, kids, making a difference for them. So the area is rural, as you can see. It's surrounded by rice fields. It's in the Mekong Delta. So it's crisscrossed by canals all over the countryside, boats going everywhere. Quite a different place than anything I've seen in other parts of the world. Most of the kids' families are farmers. Many of their parents work far away, many hours away in the big cities, working in factories, so they don't see them maybe more than once or twice a year. In fact, some of their parents might be making your shoes, you know? So a challenge in this area is that a lot of kids, there's a pretty high dropout rate, especially in middle school, which is the area, the age we focus on, partly due to economic reasons, and partly because there just aren't a lot of role models. Not many people in the community have even finished high school, let alone gone on to university. So those are some of the things we seek to address, some of the changes we hope to make. So yeah, you can see where Vietnam is. We're in the far south where the star is there in the Mekong Delta. And so how do we try to make a difference with the kids? We hope one of our main goals is that they stay in school longer, that they don't drop out, that they continue their education for as long as they can. So one way is by giving them skills. So teaching them academic subjects, math, biology, English, physics, computer skills, things that they'll be facing in the upcoming school year to give them a fast start in the next year. And then we also try to motivate them, help them realize, hey, school is important. This can make a difference in your life. And maybe the most profound one is helping them believe in themselves. In Vietnam, hearing the words, good job, you're doing well, isn't something they hear very often growing up, quite the opposite often. So it's really fun to see these kids go through the mentorship and leadership of the American and Vietnamese college students, go from shy and kind of hesitant to kind of opening up, head held high toward the end of camp, kind of realizing, hey, these cool people that I look up to, they see something in me, they see potential in me, I can be somebody, I count in their eyes at least. And that's something that really sticks with you for life. I think it's quite important for us to have that. So yeah, so every participant takes part in teaching academics, sports, and life skills. So you'd be helping work on one subject, one sport, and then life skills for a smaller group of kids. So yeah, academics are pretty obvious that's important. Sports, yeah, what kid wants to spend a whole summer studying math? 1 second, someone's joining. Okay, so sports to help make it fun, but also a great environment for learning life skills, overcoming obstacles, teamwork, leadership, improving a skill. And then next slide, see if it goes. Sorry, it doesn't seem to go. There we go. Okay, so these are some of the life skills that I mentioned on the right that we teach the kids. And something you as Americans will bring to the table is your creativity. How do we make these lessons, which are pretty theoretical to a middle schooler, having a big goal and breaking it down into small steps, etc. It just goes in one ear and out the other. So we really try to find ways for life skills and academic subjects to make it really engaging. So this is a fun example I like that student athletes came up with for teaching perseverance. Don't tell the kids what the lesson is about. Get the teams of kids out in the hallway doing a wall sit and see which team is the last one standing. So of course they get into it. It's a competition. It's fun. And then, a few start falling and their legs start shaking, a few more go. And the last few I've seen with tears running down their cheeks as they're trying to hang in there. And then everyone staggers back into class and sit them down and start asking them questions. So what did it feel like? Did you want to give up? Why didn't you? What strategies did you use, etc. And then go on to talking about what perseverance means and how that applies in the rest of your life and challenges they might face going forward in their life. So that's kind of a good example of what we try to do. Get the kids up out of the seat, experiencing something, make learning fun. They're used to just sitting to a lecture where they just copy verbatim what the teacher says. So that's a big part of what Americans are good at and add to the mix. Okay, so looking at your day, what you do is we work on small teams. This was back when we were in person, but it'll be the same virtually. Small teams, usually 2 Americans, 2 Vietnamese, and you'll be with a group of people for your academic subject, for maybe teaching biology, with another group of people for teaching basketball, for example. And it's very collaborative. It's not just us parachuting in there. It's Americans, Vietnamese really working together, learning from each other, and doing something good together. So in your typical day and the virtual model, during the day on your own time, we'll give you lesson plans for your life skills lesson, for your academic subject. So you read through those couple pages and start take a few notes. How are ways we can make this fun for the kids, and get them really focused, using their brain, processing information in a fun way. Take some notes to share in the evening with your teammates. Then, even though you're helping do the planning, we also want you to be involved in the teaching. So each day you'll be making some short video clips. They don't have to be long, maybe 2 or 3 minutes. It could be helping showing them how to pronounce things correctly in English, maybe demonstrating a science experiment, or sharing a story from your life and life skills of a challenge you faced and how you learned maybe some of the life skill lesson, how it applies to you. The kids will really, it'll be fun for them to watch you teaching them. Even though you might be asleep at the time, so we can play it at night. That's why we pre-record it. But seeing you day in and day out, hey, these cool people from the other side of the world, they care enough to teach me something. That'll really be important for them. So anyway, you'll be making these videos most days. And then we meet each evening live with each other, similar to the other programs. We meet for a couple hours. And we'll meet in short sessions, about 20 minutes or so, with your small team to share those ideas you've had, plan the lesson together. How can we teach? How did it go today? How can we make it better? So first with your academic subject, then maybe with your life skills team, for example. And then each day we have a cultural exchange activity, which across the board last year was the highlight for everyone, or one of the highlights at least. Everyone mentioned this as a highlight that they really look forward to. So it's a different one each day. The objective is to have fun while getting to know each other as individuals, and also learn about each other's culture. So we're teaching them about the United States, and we're learning a lot about Vietnam from them. And given that they're peers that we're becoming friends with, this is a pretty cool opportunity. So of course, let's see, there's the obvious fun thing that's easy to show a picture of it is cooking class. Here we taught them about how to make guacamole. And I think all the Vietnamese asked when they put the sugar in, because they're used to avocado being a dessert. And several of them said they taught their parents, and that their parents now like guacamole. But then they, of course, taught us a Vietnamese dish the next day. We had sessions where we talked about our different holiday traditions in different countries. We had some trivia challenges, some games we played, sharing childhood pictures and memories, what it was like growing up in Vietnam versus the United States, going on a tour of the local market or showing them our dorm. They really get into our sport, watching us practice and what we do. So yeah, that's a big part of it. I would say going into last year, we had a question mark wondering how it would go, because as I said, almost all the beauty that comes out of Coach for College is from these relationships that are formed. Americans with each other, with the Vietnamese coaches, college students, and with the kids. And wondering, can that really happen on a screen where you see someone you don't know on a screen? How do I care about that person? Do I get to know them really? And it just blew us out of the water how well it went. All throughout the summer, I heard people saying that this was the highlight of their day. Maybe they had challenges in their life, things were difficult, but they looked forward every evening to being with their friends at night. Those 2 hours together really was a bright spot for them and recharged them. And in some ways, it actually went better. Instead of having a million distractions, it was just really focused on working together, me and you, getting to know each other, sharing a laugh, figuring things out together, learning about each other's lives very intentionally. So it's really very authentic affection and bonds were being formed. And we're just really grateful for that. So we're really confident that anyone who takes part will really value that. That, hey, I've got a real friend on the other side of the world, and a few in the United States as well. So yeah, I'm just looking forward to being with you together again this year, and making a difference for those pretty special kids over in Vietnam. I can stop there.
Awesome, thank you, Seth. Thanks for that. And before we transition over to our AMIGOS presentation, I'd like to introduce Sydney. She joined a little bit late. she's actually participated in the Vietnam program this past summer. So yeah, Sydney, if you just want to introduce yourself, say a few things, and I just got a couple questions for you about if you want to talk about the Vietnam program for a minute.
Cool, yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Sydney. I'm a senior at Duke on the soccer team. I participated in the virtual Vietnamese program last summer. And if I weren't graduating this year, I would be participating again. So when I was thinking of applying, I feel like I honestly had no idea what to expect. But I figured at the very least, it was just a few weeks of my time and I had nothing to lose. And then after completing my program, I realized that I had a much greater appreciation for the virtual format than I had anticipated. Since there wasn't the excitement of being in a new country with new people and new foods and everything, I feel like our intentions were just really pure. And we were able to focus a lot more on building our relationships with other college students and putting everything that we could into making the middle school program as great as it could be. And at the end of the program, the middle schoolers made a video to thank me for my time. And it was all in English. A big purpose of our videos was to help them have a chance to listen to English and also practice it in videos that they sent back. And so that was really special and kind of made me realize how big of an impact I was able to make despite being halfway across the world. And then the virtual format was also really great because it allowed me to do other things with my summer. So I had a summer internship and I finished my nights for these few weeks with a 2-hour Zoom call with the Vietnamese college students. And that was honestly the best way to end my days. So yeah, Seth, do you have, or Sean, do you have questions?
Yeah, just that was great. Just one other question for you. Similar question I asked Emily. Yeah, what would you tell any Duke or Stanford student athletes who are kind of on the fence about participating in a virtual program this summer?
I would encourage you to sign up and do it. I really have created lasting relationships and I still talk to my Vietnamese team pretty often. We send videos back to one another. Since our time difference is so different, it's easier than setting up a Zoom call or something to just send videos, catching up and giving live updates. And I have every intention of hopefully visiting them someday, just you know, if nothing more for a quick vacation so I can meet up with them. And one of them told me when they were describing their country, they said, it's a beautiful place with even more beautiful people. And from what I've been able to see through my program, I would certainly have to agree with that. So yeah, it's definitely worth it. It's not a huge chunk of time, but you're gonna get so much from your experience.
Awesome, thank you, Sydney. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
And with that, yeah, we'll transition to our AMIGOS friends here with their presentation.
Great. First of all, I just want to say how really honored and excited we are to have this opportunity to be with you all. We do not have a history with ACE. This is our first time, and we're so excited to be here. It's really where we want to be, and we want to be doing this with you. And I just want to shout out the two presenters that it's really touching and emotional to actually listen to the work you've been doing in your communities. We do very similar minded work. Our focus has always been on US and Latin America. We're very directed in what we do and the relationships we build. But I could see Seth so happy to hear from Sydney. And I just want to say it's really a joy to be in this kind of collaboration with all the presenters. So what I'm going to do is my speaker's working and poor Charlotte's is not. We're going to tag team a little bit. So in the chat, what's going to happen is she's going to drop some links that kind of support the presentation to kind of give it a little bit more well-roundedness. So sometimes we might be throwing in a little bit of a blog that happened last summer or some content about where we're going in Durango. But what we're really excited about is offering students to come into our US-based programming. AMIGOS has been around for a very long time, and I'll go to my next slide and just kind of talk a little bit about our history. So we've been doing youth leadership and service in international, in Latin America since 1965. So if you want to know who Amigos is, we're kind of the OG. We were doing this well before this became kind of an opportunity for young people, both in high school and college, to develop skills, have cross-cultural understanding, deepen kind of their knowledge of the world and global citizenship. We're kind of like that savings and loan that's been doing this work and building relationships and partnerships in Latin America and the US for really, 57 years. And I'm a very proud product of that. I did Amigos when I was in high school, and then I joined our college programs and was on our staff in Ecuador and Mexico. And a huge thing that we really believe in young people is that so much of the world underestimates you. And at a very young age, we think that young people can do remarkable things, partially because they are audacious and optimistic and without fear. And what we do is really build on that and believe in that and train that, and then bring you to communities to work alongside those communities. It's also really important whenever we're doing work, and I think that the other presenters are doing a beautiful job of doing that as well, to ask hard questions about ethical engagement in communities. So the reason why Amigos is effective is because we do work so deeply in partnership, both in Latin America and Colorado. We don't make or manifest a project because we want to do that. What we do is seek out and develop partnerships with communities that are on the forefront of innovations in their communities. So in Colorado, it's really around the themes that we're talking about: sustainable development, conservation, environmental justice. What we want to do is showcase these organizations to give you models of hope and ideation about how you can come back and continue to be a change maker in your world. Because 3 weeks is a short amount of time, fundamentally, and that's what the program we're talking about. So we're here to seed and to encourage and to grow. And we're really proud of our alumni. There's over 30,000 alumni internationally for Amigos. And so when you join Amigos, you're actually joining a really powerful alumni network. And what our alumni go on to do are pretty phenomenal. I could humble brag for years about them, but I won't. I also want to just say that our commitment to Latin America and to youth in general is powerful in that we actually fully fund Latin American youth to always join our program models. And we actually have a program with the State Department where we bring 100 Latin American youth from South America to homestays in the United States, in Austin and in Madison. So we're lucky, because of the longevity of our organization, to be able to use our resources and develop those relationships and make sure the Latin American youth are fully a part of it. I just think it's important, and we're going to talk about Colorado, but to know who you're joining and what we stand for. And then, one of the things, our mission and vision are really kind of simple and clean and have stayed consistent for our entire history. But the part that I think speaks the most to me is really in the vision piece. I see not just in myself, but I see in my children who've done our programs, and I see in our GAP students who have done our programs and have gone kind of next level in Uruguay and Ecuador and Costa Rica, how energized they are and how hopeful they are. I want to just say, as someone who's a little bit on the older side, I think your generation has been a bit burdened around climate change. And I think one of the things you see in Amigos is that we want to unburden that and energize you and show you what's capable by showing you models of hope and other leaders who are doing amazing things on a kind of a small scale. So that's the piece in Amigos I think is so powerful. But I also want to make sure that you understand how committed we are to the power of every voice. And what organizationally what we stand for is not just bring Latin American youth here, but making sure our programs are accessible for everyone. So we're thrilled to be with ACE because we think this is a really great way to expand our mission, to bring what we do to a new audience. And so I just we always want to make sure that you understand who we are and what we're committed to, because that's a big part of what happens when we go into our workshops and our trainings. Now, let's just take a moment to applaud all the online programs that are working internationally. We do have international in-person programs. We have them in Costa Rica, Panama, and Colorado, and we had them in Nicaragua as well last year. So last year we did in-person projects. It was also our first year to really dig into what we wanted to do and bring our Amigos model to Colorado. And so you would be a part of this really powerful first time of doing an ACE program in Colorado. So we're excited to bring this inaugural project to you, and we want to build it with your feedback and your input. A lot of people have asked us, why are we in Colorado since we're so known for our international programs? And actually, I and Charlotte both are the most excited about the Colorado projects that we do, even more than our Latin America projects, because what we can do in our program model is not just elevate the important pillars of service and leadership, but particularly the pillars of cultural humility. Everyone in Colorado, if you've ever been to Colorado, loves this land, but the way that they engage with it and the way that they steward it are different. So one of the things that's important that we want to do here in the United States is listen to diverse voices in a humble way. So how do ranchers and farmers, how do environmentalists, how do urban planners, how do indigenous people all intersect to basically form partnerships to steward this land together? There's really interesting divisive voices in Colorado. And so we dig into this. What we're trying to do is highlight people who are crossing those divides and finding commonalities. And just one way to talk about this is to look at what's happening around wolf introduction in Colorado, which is really interesting because Colorado is surrounded by Montana and Idaho, and those states and those geographic areas do not have wolf introduction. But they voted about 2 years ago in Colorado to protect wolves. So it's a tough one because this was voted on primarily by an urban population, and the rural populations voted against wolf introduction. So you've got this rural population that's absorbing an environmental policy that they don't agree with. And it's going to take real collaboration and cooperation to be able to make this policy successful and to respect each other's voices on this. And this is where our models of cultural humility come in. This is where we're really excited to introduce you to the complexities that we have here in our country around environmental stewardship and justice. So we're really excited to have ACE students on here. We really think you're actually going to elevate the conversation. So I hope you're excited about what we're going to be doing. So real simple, here are the dates. And because this is an in-person project, this is a fully bodied project. And I have to say, as the mom of a college student and a high school student currently, boy, I have seen in the last 2 years a cascade of disappointments for young people. So many things have been taken back from them. I'm sure you felt that too, from graduations, camps, internships, jobs, all kinds of things have pulled back. So it's with great joy that I can say that this in-person project is a go. We will be doing this. We did this last year. We did this safely, and we did international programming last year while Delta was raging, and we were able to do it in a really safe way with fantastic outcomes. So as a mom and as a human being, as a representative of AMIGOS, I am very happy to say we are going to be able to provide a powerful in-person programming experience for you. And just really digging into this a little bit more, these slides are going to be available. We're going to send this slideshow to the team so that they can share it with you and you can dig into these slides a little bit more because I know it goes fast. But one of the things I'm really excited about in this was also when we talk about cultural humility is to understand we have some time that we're extremely privileged to have in the Ute Mountains with the tribal elders there to learn directly from them about their history, their interpretation of environmental policy, and their own history of stewardship of the lands that they lived on for millennia. In fact, right now, what we're finding, if you're from the West, is that fire is a defining issue here. And actually, the stewardship of Native peoples of their lands had some incredible practices that we have forgotten and they're being kind of reintroduced, which is around controlled burns. But it's also a chance for us to go to the Denver Museum to hear about how artifacts are presented, and then to hear kind of what Native people feel about how their history is represented. And just a little story about this that really stuck with Charlotte and I from last summer is our volunteers who did this program spent 2 days there, and they had gone to the Denver Museum to see artifacts and to really question how those artifacts came to be in the Denver Museum. And then they were able to go to the actual reservation where people were. And what they noticed was, as they were walking through there, is there were pottery and pottery shards all over this area that, the guide that was there and the elder was talking to them was like, this is how we live. And people always want to come and take something of ours here and put in a museum, but that would be like taking something from your living room where you grow up and wanting to take it out and display it as a kind of tokened piece of history. And so just this ability to have access and be in deep conversation with our pillars of cultural humility, I think is so unique about this project. And it is our land and our history to make peace with and to understand. So this slide is filled with a lot of things to look at. And again, I encourage you to review the slideshow later or listen to the recording later. But I just wanted to punch out that one thing that I think is so special about what we're doing this summer in Colorado and what was a highlight for our volunteers who went last summer. All right, so themes and locations. What are we doing and where are we going? Really, the themes are on conservation, sustainable conservation, environmental stewardship, and what's happening around climate change as communities are having to address this in real time in Colorado. And then where we're going to this is a really stunning area of Colorado called the Western Slope. The Western Slope and the specific areas we're going to is the areas of Gunnison, Durango, and San Juan. So if you look at a map, you're going to be looking kind of at the southwest corner of Colorado, and you're going to be looking for these general areas. And you can see one of the things we do is we actually work on a sustainable farm that's doing amazing work with water management. In the West, water and fire are really the defining issues right now around climate change. And so any kind of sustainable practices around agriculture is something we want to highlight. And a huge part of this, and we're going to talk about this, is not only is this an in-person project, this is an in-body project. There is so much service and actual hands-on things that we do. And one of them is working at this community farm for, I think we're going to be there for 4 days. So speaking of hands-on opportunities, we had so much fun, Cheryl and I, picking photos because there were so many photos to pick. But one thing we'll be doing is actually trail building, not trail maintenance, not trail cleanup, actually trail building, moving boulders, taking down trees, building trails, actually doing trail building so that years from now you can go back and walk on a trail that you built. We're working in an organic farm, which is a really incredible way for us to highlight some leadership that's happening in collaboration with environmental practices. And then I think one of the coolest things we do, if you look down and see the seed forest regeneration, if you look in that box, it's seed pods. So you know, if you've been watching the news, you can see we've had actually tremendous fires in Colorado over the last few years. And so part of what we do is go and support Park Service efforts to reforest. So we go into these burn scar areas and populate them with seed pods, which is really exciting. And in doing so, we learn about the diversity of seeds that we're distributing, because it's really important not to be mono seeding. You want to actually put a diversity of seeds out there. So kind of learn more about that. And then another joyful part of this is our ability to do science, which is some water analysis on the Arkansas River. Fire and water, those are the defining things about being in the West, especially on climate change. With a decrease of rain, which we're seeing, the water issues become very powerful. Who gets the water? Native lands, rivers for fish, urban areas that are growing. The water also goes downstream to different states, and water quality and understanding the health of the water systems is a huge part of being able to do powerful management and stewardship of the water. So all of these are things you're going to be doing, and we're really excited because this is kind of a service plus. You're going to be pretty darn busy. And we wanted just to give you kind of a general calendar of what we're going to be doing. You know, everything in Amigos is a little flexible. And so we normally work in Latin America where lots of things can happen. And this is definitely what we expect to happen, but it's important to know that we are always there, not because we're a catalog project and we use our partnerships to create an experience for our volunteers. It's exactly the opposite. We are there to be of service to the organizations and the communities that welcome us. And as their priorities and needs change, we will adapt. So I'm sitting in my kitchen now talking to you in January, but we're going to be in these communities in June and July. So we will adapt to what the need is, because anything can happen in the next 6 months. And that's the joy of this kind of program building. To be of service to an organization and to communities means to be where they are when they need us in that moment. So I think it's important, and I'm always like we're not a catalog. We're not, because if I give you exactly what we're going to do day to day, that becomes about you and not about the communities we serve. But this is a general what to expect. And then what I'm excited about is how we build to the need in the times we're there. And then it's like, great to have, because as athletes, and I was a college athlete as well, I think it's important to actually know your schedule and to have a sense of when you are going to have some time to work out. So in general, we're in altitude. We're going to talk about that in a moment, but this is a general thing to expect. And this is general because there'll be some days where the service work will take all day, and some days where the service work might be in the morning, and then we'll come back and do workshops in the afternoon. We're going to do trail building. We're going to be out the entire day. So we won't be following this, but sometimes if we're going to be doing water service and water management, we might be there in the morning and come back and have a guest speaker in the afternoon and maybe go over the results, review the results of what we were able to do with citizen scientists that day. So that's just something for you to review. And then I think a huge part of what makes AMIGOS really special is the fact that we see this as being a chance to do some learning on topics that are important to us as an organization. All of our workshops are built on our pillars of service and leadership and cultural humility. And because of that, and because of the moment we're in right now, these are topics in which we're going to be doing throughout the 3 weeks. Some of them will be in the first few days, and some of them will be kind of ongoing. Some of them will be more at the end. We're really excited, and really it's our staff that develops these with our director of training. And we do these as well in our college programs. So we have GAP programs in Ecuador, we have them in Uruguay, and we also have them in Costa Rica. These are the same kinds of topics we work with our GAP students. And our GAP students come also from all over, from Tufts, from Stanford, from UC Berkeley, from all over. And we really love the development of these workshops and the depth of conversation that comes in through, again, our vulnerability and talking to each other and our openness to learning. And then people obviously want to, well, where are we going to live? Well, AMIGOS takes over, retreat centers, hostels, lodges. We basically take over the whole site. And here's an example of where we stayed last summer. Colorado is a stunning place to be. We are just blessed with locations that highlight the beauty of the area. And also everywhere we go has lots of room for outdoor exercise. But this just gives you an idea. This is a group program, and one thing that's nice to know about AMIGOS, it's not bougie. So you're going to all be together in shared living responsibilities. So you're going to be cooking together, eating together, reflecting, relaxing. You are all in this together. You will be deputized to take leadership roles because you're grown-ups, and this is not a tour. This is not a curated trip. This is your experience, and we're all responsible to the pod for the group living. But y'all are going to be great with that. It's kind of a non-issue, but I just wanted to put that out, what to expect in terms of living. And then being mindful of the fact that you are student athletes, and we want to develop both your mind, your soul, and your body in this. We really are excited to bring as many opportunities to continue your fitness. We will be doing some challenging hikes. We'll be doing a lot of physical labor during the service days. We encourage you to do some trail running at altitude. It's one of the most amazing ways to build endurance. And then we will have some gym facilities that will be able to offer those accommodations. Those obviously are going to be, those details are forthcoming because it'll depend specifically on the sites we are in. And I just wanted to give a little shout out for the fact this is a high altitude project. When I was a cross country runner in high school and college, I actually did I was both a volunteer and then staff in Ecuador. And, I really was amazed because I lived on the coast. I went to UC Santa Cruz. I would be amazed when I would come back from those summers, even though I hadn't done as much running as I, would normally do in a training time. My fitness was kind of insane. I just had so much capacity because of the hiking I was doing and the work I was doing in the high altitudes of Ecuador. So we wanted just to kind of, show you a little bit about what high altitude training can mean for your body and for your fitness, for your ability to come back to your sport in a really powerful way. All right. And then, health and safety, we're all adults here. We're all going to do the right thing to keep our communities and each other safe. And to do that, that's why we're doing group model. We have rigorous COVID protocols of testing, and then always kind of explaining why we're doing and having the buy-in group as to why we're taking good care of our communities and ourselves with the best practices. Again, we did this program last summer with Delta raging, and we had great success. We've obviously seen a whole different rollout of the ability to be vaccinated and boosted in our communities and our volunteers. And so we're feeling extremely excited about being able to create a safe program for you to be a part of. All right. I want to be mindful of people's time and just let you know that if you had questions, you can drop them into the chat. If you want to unmute, I'm available now for questions. And we are just so thrilled to have ACE students be a part of our in-person programming. We can't wait to do this with you all next summer.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, well, that brings it. That is our final presentation here. I know we've got a bit over our time, but we are going to stick around for questions if there are any. Yeah, if there's any questions, you can put them in the chat box or unmute yourself. Otherwise, of course, you can reach us by email, either Emily and I. We can put you in contact with Seth, Nicole, Charlotte, and Krista. But yeah, any questions?
Seth, is this recording? Could we get a copy of this recording too? We would love to share it with Catherine and Ashley.
Yes, of course.
I guess I don't have a question, but I just wanted to thank all of you for presentations, and I'm really excited that Krista, your program is also partnering with ACE. I think it's a really, really cool partnership you have going on, and I'm excited. I was excited to learn about it.
Yeah, me as well. Thank you for going through the whole rundown of the day in the life of doing the Colorado project. I think it seems really interesting, and I'm just excited to hear back after all of our applications. So thank you so much.
Cool. Yeah, Emily has put our emails down in the chat box. So of course, any other questions for us, feel free to reach us by email. But otherwise, appreciate you all jumping on and joining this call today. So yeah, thank you all. Thanks for the great presentations, everybody.